Welcome to my second video on the joy of negative emotions. In this video I'm going to talk about the art of controlling irritation, my favorite negative emotion. I first want to talk a little bit about emotions in general. The boundaries and trying to define emotions are extremely difficult. I know I have a deep love for my sweetheart, but when I try to describe it, it's impossible. I believe that emotions are complicated. Although they can be powerful, I believe that they're very delicate, and the boundary between them, to me, is like the boundaries between the colors of a rainbow. They bleed into each other, and it's hard to tell when one begins and when one ends. Counselors have to learn a lot of different theories in order to pass their studies. Some very smart people have constructed some theories that I believe can fit over these emotions and that work for them and their clients. That's what I did. I made some connections with metaphors and constructed some things that work well for me and my clients before I retired. And the purpose of these videos is to just remind clients and to share what I figured out that worked for me with others. From my first video, remember that negative emotions are like fire alarms to me. These aspects of a fire alarm, I believe, fit well with negative emotions, and from these aspects I developed a simple four-step skill set that makes negative emotions functional. I call them art skills, AART, to remember what the four steps are. The first A is to acknowledge and accept the negative emotions. The second is to analyze, to try to figure out why the alarm went off. 3 is to reduce the risk to an acceptable level. This step you'll often find that the emotions and that the risk are already at an acceptable level and that it's a false alarm. The fourth step is to turn off the alarm, and we do that by steering our thoughts and our actions so that positive emotions can be in harmony with our thoughts and actions. The major joy for me of these negative emotions is that by using them properly, I can prevent catastrophes in my life. There are other joys to negative emotions. Think about movies that we go to that we really like. They put us on a roller coaster of emotions so that we can experience both the positive ones and negative ones in the safety of a movie theater. The same thing for roller coasters. Roller coasters give us a thrill because they give a bit of anxiety into our lives in a safe environment. And if they do it right, it gives us a thrill, and it's sort of like the spice. Negative emotions at times are like the spice in life. With just the right amount of spice, then it adds excitement to our life. But if there's too much spice, it's too hot, then it can cause problems. Irritation is my favorite negative emotion, mostly because it's so mild. It's the mildest of all of the negative emotions that go off in my life. When it goes off, it makes sense to me of why it went off. It being a very negative emotion and a mild one gives me a good playground in order to develop skills so that as I am able to control irritation, then it gives me a good platform to learn how to control some of the more powerful negative emotions. Irritation is that automatic negative emotional response when things don't go the way I expect them to go. However, that's not the only automatic response to unexpected events. Surprise parties are an unexpected event, and when they happen and they're pulled off right, then rather than react with irritation, we react with joy and surprise. A joke is a wonderful thing that we humans enjoy. They're built of a storyline that on purpose hides a story that's going on at the same time that the joke's being told. When we get to the punchline, the hidden story is revealed, and when our brain gets the joke, it rewards us with laughter because this unexpected story is now revealed to us. We can also react with curiosity. One of my favorite little video clips is of rocket scientists being interviewed now that they're older. And the one fellow that I like to watch most doesn't seem too interested in the interview until they ask him about what about when things blew up and things went wrong. And then he became very, very animated and alive and said how much that was the best, because when things went wrong, you learned so much. This is a picture of our 5 children and my sweetheart wife and I on the day the last child got married. It was really fun watching all 5 of my children go through the courtship phase of their relationships before they got married. That phase is full of unexpected events, but we automatically react to them with joy and wonder and curiosity and fascination. It isn't until the honeymoon period is over that when our spouse, who in so many ways is our opposite, do things that are unexpected, that we find irritation in them rather than joy. This phenomenon is what keeps marriage counselors in business. When the irritation alarm goes off, it's announcing 2 potential catastrophes. One is that I better take control of whatever is going on right now, because if I don't, louder and more powerful alarms are going to be going off. The second one is that it's an alarm that I can no longer accomplish my goals. I can't accomplish goals unless I can predict what's accurately going to happen. I'm going to do a particular action, and then I'm going to expect a certain results. And when I'm able to do that, I can accomplish goals. The alarm goes off to tell me that I can no longer accomplish my goals. I like to use this continuum when I'm thinking about the part of the alarm that warns me that if I don't take care of it at this stage, things are going to get louder and more powerful. When I'm at the 1 or 2 level with calmness and just irritation, then my ability to reason, to use my memory and logic, is at its peak. When I go along this continuum and get to the angry type stages and rage, then my ability to reason goes down. Anyone that's ever trying to reason with an angry person knows exactly what I'm talking about. I believe Hollywood does such a wonderful job with emotional things. Take the character the Incredible Hulk. Dr. Banner is a very reasonable and logical person until he gets so angry that he turns into the Incredible Hulk, which doesn't have the ability to reason or use logic. Anger and rage will be one of the subjects of my next video. Human beings are very happy when they can predict what's going to happen next. We do this, we like it so much that we even make contests out of it, like the Rube Goldberg contest, an annual event where contestants take a simple task like zipping up a zipper and making a contraption that does it in a complicated way. We thrill at each part of the contraption as we predict what's going to happen next. The popular game Mousetrap is another Rube Goldberg type event. My irritation alarm goes off when I can no longer accurately predict. This is our dog Duncan. Let me tell you about him as an example of how I use this irritation alarm when it goes off in my life. I really didn't want a dog. They cause too much troubles in our home and make things so that I can't predict what's going to happen. And so I was very reluctant to get the dog. This happens to be the runt of the litter of my younger son's only litter of pups that him and his wife were able to have with their schnauzer. The first night we had the little puppy home, I got up to use the bathroom and stepped in a puddle of puppy pee. I immediately went from irritation all the way up to almost anger because I really didn't want the dog in the first place. my first step was to get my feelings down to the irritation stage and ask myself the question, is it reasonable for me to have a puppy in the house and there not be any puppy pee on the floor? The answer to that is no, that's not reasonable. So I got irritated because I was expecting something that wasn't reasonable. So now I go from acknowledging a negative emotion, analyzing it, saying it's not reasonable, to 3, reducing the risk of me being able to predict such events in the future. So I called the vet, and the vet asked me the gender, the age, the weight, and the breed of the dog. After that, he came back and said that would be about 50 minutes between urinary voids, and for me to put a bell by the door the next time Duncan urinates, to time it, wait about 50 minutes, ring the bell with his nose, take him outside, wait for him to urinate, give him a reward and lots of praise, and repeat that. The faster he got the connection between ringing the bell, urinating outside, and getting a treat, the faster he would be house trained. It only took about 7 to 10 days, and he had it down. I was very happy for the next couple of years of having no urine in the house. But then one night, after a couple of years, I got up to use the bathroom and stepped again in a puddle of dog urine. This time, when I was irritated, and I went through the steps, that I acknowledged that I was irritated, and then I analyzed why it went off. Well, I was expecting my foot to hit the floor and not dog urine. And after 2 years, I was able to realize that it was reasonable for me to expect that there not be any more dog urine in the house. So this time I called the vet, and he said, get Duncan in immediately. He then had to give him an operation that if he hadn't have given it to him right then, that day, he said he would have died. He had some stones in his urinary tract. So that time, irritation was announcing a potential catastrophe. And since I used the alarm properly, we avoided the catastrophe of losing a family pet. I really do like using negative emotions as an alarm to a potential catastrophe. I hope this example was useful to you. Thank you very much for your attention, and best of luck in controlling your negative emotions. Bye for now.